We arrived last night in Maine and slept in the camper. We get to put a new sticker on. So we're knocking this one off right here. There's Maine's sticker. We're gonna put that right there. Massachusetts next. Alright, so we got another one on there. Here's where you pull in and you pull up to the line, and the office slash store is right there. So you go in and register. We were in site 177. Full hookups with water, sewer, cable, and electric. And you can see electric has 30, 50, and the household 20. Site is right on the end, near the entrance to the park. You see I have the mat out, I have the awning out, and the picnic table's up. There's our fire pit. There's our flag. Did have to angle the truck to fit it in here. And then you can see on the service side we have to about here. The entire trip, starting in Niagara Falls to here, every campground was able to accommodate us, you know, being side by side, because we booked super early. But this one was not able to do that. So Tim and Dawn and Gene and Brian are way down the road, down towards the bottom of the park. There's a set of bathrooms here. They're for employees only. So there's a bathhouse down there halfway. That would be the one you would have to use. I'm in this row with the pull-through site. There's a playground. See a swing over there. And there's a small basketball court for the kids. There is a pool. The water looks very clear. This is their game room. Yeah, they have events and stuff in here. And they do have some arcade games. Here is their laundromat. And you can see 2 of the 6 dryers are out of service. There are 4 washing machines, and 2 of them don't work. So that creates quite a burden here, you know, in a larger campground when the equipment doesn't work. So on our return trip from Canada, we crossed the border in Maine. Okay. So we decided to go visit Mount Desert Island. What is on Mount Desert Island?
The Cadillac Mountain.
Yeah, Acadia National Park.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole lot there, and we can talk about all that stuff. But first, let's talk about where we stayed. We took the camper to the Mount Desert Narrows Camping Resort, which I believe is a Thousand Trails resort.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the frustration we had when we got there? What was different about camping there versus every other place we went on this trip?
They couldn't get us together, like we had to be separated.
Yeah.
There wasn't 3 sites together.
Yeah, next to each other. So for this entire trip, the 3 of us that were caravanning together, every campground always had us right next to each other because we booked these things about a year in advance. This was the one campground who did not do that. So that was a little frustrating. Gene and Brian and Tim and Dawn were a few rows further down into the campground than what we were.
Right.
Now,
I liked our spot though.
Yeah.
Right when you came in.
Yeah, the people there, they tried to accommodate us. They told us to go look at other sites if we wanted to try to find a different site. So the people in the office were really friendly. So you came off the highway and they had like check-in lanes, and you went in and got your paperwork, and then you went to your site. We were in site 177,
Mm-hmm.
full hookups, with cable. So if there was rain, we at least could see the news to see when it was going to end. And they had a lot of amenities at that campground. Because it's an island, one of the great features is the water.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a waterfront campground. So down below, you could launch your kayaks right from the campground. But we didn't do that because the tide is so big there. At low tide, you would have to walk across the mud to get back if you were caught out there.
Mm.
So, although it was a waterfront campground, we didn't bother to put our kayaks in there. We put them in somewhere else. And do you remember the name of that place?
It was Hadley's Point.
Yeah, Hadley Point. Yeah, it was
Hadley.
Yeah, it was right up the street, maybe a mile.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful ramp. There were some bathrooms there, and that ramp was accessible at high or low tide. So it didn't matter when you went out and when you got back. You were able to get your equipment off of there. And we saw South Twinney Island. That's where we kayaked to, and we saw a boat oyster farm.
The oyster boat was really nice to see, to be up close. We could paddle up close to that.
Yeah, so they seed it. They seed the ground with these oysters, and they have to harvest them if it doesn't work right and they get too deep or too shallow, they'll die.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out there working that area. So they're oyster farming in that area. So that was neat to see. We spent some time there in the kayaks. It was nice to get the kayaks in the water. What you doing, Marie?
We're kayaking Hadley's Point in Bar Harbor, Maine.
Here we are. Check it out. Nice breeze blowing for him. There's Mr. Tim coming into the shot. There he is, in his glory, in his kayak. He led us on a 3,000-mile journey through Canada. South Twinney Island. Down in the water. One thing I've learned is once you push the record button, you get more video.
You do. Oh, so you gotta start over.
You ever see a working vessel at anchor? We're kayaking. And then we also went to see a lighthouse. Do you remember what lighthouse we went to see?
Bass Head Light.
Yeah, so Bass Head Light is there. The parking, there's not a lot of parking there. So some people have to wait. When we were leaving, there was a line of people trying to come in. But you get to see the lighthouse. You can walk around and check it out. And then there's a pathway down to the rocks. So you could, yeah, you could look at it from down below.
It's a windy day when we went down.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tim was climbing around on the rocks even with his knee. So he was enjoying that. And then, you know, even outside of the national parks and the things to see from a national perspective, there are very picturesque drives along the waterways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you see the little coves and the towns. And of course, we got to experience that on our way to Cadillac Mountain. So, Cadillac Mountain, you have to reserve a time slot to go up the mountain. And the reason they do that is there's a limited amount of parking, so they want to make sure everybody who is on the road can get out, check it out. And that actually really worked well. I think it was $5
Mm-hmm.
for the entire car, the carload of people. So we went up to Cadillac Mountain. Beautiful views up there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Phoebe, her
modeling.
her most famous picture
Yeah.
is Phoebe posing on the top of Cadillac Mountain
Nice.
for her glamour shot.
That was a good picture.
Yeah.
We're just looking for dirt roads.
We are. I kind of like it with a little line of fog.
Yeah, tells you you're in New England.
So we enjoyed that time there. And then also within the national park is Thunder Hole. So that's this area where the water comes in on a wave and it hits the rocks and shoots up in the air. So we did check this. Now I do have some pictures to put in with the restrictions that the national parks put on videotaping. I'm not able to use the video from the national park in the United States. But then we passed a small little church. Remember the name of that one?
I believe it was Tremont Community Church.
Yeah, so Tremont Community Church. You know, these small communities really, you know, they pitch in and help maintain the church. The church looked beautiful. And we were on our way to Thurston's Lobster House.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was fun.
So what's so special about Thurston's Lobster House?
Well, you get to order fresh lobster, and you can have your own. You choose your own sides, and
You crack the lobsters. And
you crack the shell at the table, and you get the meat out yourself, and it was delicious. It was really fun, and you put your bib on. Everyone had a good time.
Yeah, now, we grew up on Chesapeake Bay, so Marie's used to cracking blue crabs from the Chesapeake Bay. But I had never eaten an actual lobster.
Mm-hmm.
So this was going to be my first time eating a whole lobster. And as Marie said, you get to pick like a bundle of sides, which included blueberry cake,
Yeah,
which that was interesting. And it's in a little harbor town, and the family that owns the restaurant owns the boats that bring the lobster in. So it was a really neat time. Everybody had a great time, and we found it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Brian was driving, and he made a left when Jean told him to go straight, and we found this little town. So we went back there and had dinner.
I'm glad he's directionally
Challenge.
challenged.
Pull over?
No, it's okay.
I got it.
That is
I
beautiful.
got a good video of it.
That's a gorgeous church. The work that
Go to town.
We're at Thurston's.
a great fish.
Tim's got those 2-pounders in front of him, so does Big Al and Dawn. Looking good.
And then if you go to Mount Desert Island, I mean, one of the big attractions is the town of Bar Harbor. So we did go down to Bar Harbor and we had dinner at the Beer Works. And it was a dog-friendly place, so Phoebe was allowed to sit with us while we were eating. The food was great. And afterwards, we took a stroll through Bar Harbor all the way down to the actual harbor front. So Phoebe enjoyed that. She got a lot of attention down there, so she loved it.
So we got blueberry mojito, the artist that's for you, rum punch, blueberry fields, and a diet Pepsi.
And he doesn't think of your.
Okay, we have silverware. Thank you.
6 or 7 there? Oh, there.
Thank you so much.
He's coming out, right? He's gonna take the rest.
Yep.
We're cool.
And you can see the fog rolling in to the harbor. And of course, PBJ has made it to Bar Harbor.
And then over near Bass Head Light, you know, in that side of the island, we found an auto museum.
Yeah, that was a find, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Al really liked that.
Al loved it. He loved that museum. So it was called the Seal Cove Auto Museum, and it had a lot of interesting facts about the automobile industry and the attempts to prevent the auto industry from flourishing. They were actually banned from Mount Desert Island for quite a while. But the most interesting part was getting to show everybody the Woody.
The Woody?
The Woody.
I missed it.
We are at the Auto Museum at Seal Cove near Bar Harbor, Maine. Let's check it out and see. All right, I'm going to show you a Woody.
So what do you think of Maine and the Bar Harbor, Mount Desert Island area?
I feel really good that I finally got to go there. I enjoyed our time there. It would have been nice to have more time, but we could always go back.
Yeah, I think we'll probably, down the road, we'll probably end up in another trip up that way, just because in the summertime we tend to maybe travel north also to escape some of the heat. So yeah, I think we would definitely go back. Would we stay at the Mount Desert Narrows Camping Resort?
We'll try the other one.
Yeah, there's a KOA there.
Yeah.
So I think we'd probably try the KOA. We've had better luck with KOAs on our travel trips. So we'll give that a try. Hey, look, if you enjoyed this video or it helped you out, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free. It does help us out a lot. Also, ring that bell and you'll be notified every time we put up a new video. And give the video a thumbs up. That helps it be seen by a wider audience. But more important than all that,
Go have some fun out there.
and you can continue to listen to the symphony of crows and chickens in our backyard. Hey, thanks for watching.